sustenance and
Oh, thank you.
right,
Just be aware, people, that the cookies are olive down. They're not.
cookies are not halal Yisrael.
Maybe Paul?
If they're halal Yisrael, then they would be burdened.
I know, then that's why it's called the Satan. I would have thought that they're part.
So, Michael, that's important. In other words, for somebody who keeps strictly halal Yisrael, that's important. For most of the people, it's not an issue. It's really- Okay. Learning sponsors. A year of learning, friends of Herb Jeremiah, Tzvi Ben Zev, friends of Sam Coleman, Shmuel Ben Yaakov, friends of Gideon Lazinski, Mordechai Shlomo Ben Meir, Bella and David Adler, in memory of her father Eliyahu Ben Yosef, a Kohen, those who were inspired by our Rebbetzin Emeritus, Sheila Shapiro, Sarah Esther Malkabad, Meshulm Yisachar, Gail and Leslie Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Mushka Sprinza Bad Yosef Chaim Bechava, Kanan Ben Moshe Eliezer Vachana, Pesha Bat Shmor Yitzchak Halevi V'Tzipora, Isha Ben Yoel Moshe Cohen Vachan. Rexford Friends of Gladys Sherman, Gutta Bat Meir, Michael Klein and Friends of Judah Klein, Yehuda Tzvi Ben Chaim, Marsha Braun in memory of her husband, Rav Yerachmiel Ben Shmuel, friends and family of Arthur Ritholtz, Mordechai Yudel Ben Baruch Leib HaKohen, friends and family of Siggy Bessler, Shalom Shraga Ben Dov, friends of Marvin Weinstein, Mordechai Ozer Ben Yisrael Aharon. A month of learning by Perry and Jill Meltzer, in memory of his mother Malka Bat Baruch and his sister Goldaleah Bat David Halevi. Carol and Josh Sanborn, in memory of her father, Yoshua Shia Ben Moshe Yehuda HaKohen. Ike and Evelyn Blachor, HaKarat HaTov, for his continuing recovery from recent surgery. Rabbi Dr. Yankee and Malki Honig, in memory of his mother Rabbanit Hensha Ita Bat Chaim Yehuda. Hannah and David Grunblad, in memory of her mother Raiza Bat Chaim. Jill and Perry Meltzer, in memory of her father Yaakov Ben Yosef. Be Pizer, in memory of her stepfather Avram Michal Ben Shmuel Halevi. Be Pizer, in memory of her mother Raizel Bat Shammai. Jerry and Sharon Glassman, in memory of his mother Malka Yehudis Bat Eliyahu. Henry Katz and children, in memory of his wife Lila Leah Mincha Bat Yehuda. A week of learning by Michael and Judith Poretsky, in memory of his brother Chaim Tzvi Ben Gershon. Judy Schiff, in memory of her mother Chaya Chava Bat Menachem Mendel. Today being the 15th of the month, a day of learning by Judy Jeremias, in memory of her husband Tzvi Ben Zev, also by Judy and Ari Cohen, in memory of their friend Herb Jeremias, Tzvi Ben Zev. And Hashem is having Aliyah, Kranker Field Velta, Yeshua Hashem Tliyah, Kol B'nai Israel, Good Gebench.
Amen.
Okay. I want to begin by indicating that I found today's Gemara rather difficult. Okay, and that I call on all of my Chaverim here to assist where they feel they can. Okay. Okay. Okay, we are on the. Okay, we're actually on the top of 105. Okay, this is where we're going to get. Right. So if we go back to the bottom of the discussion, which was on the bottom of 104b. Okay, right. We see that the Gemara is still trying to determine, okay, a number of issues. Okay, aside from the whole issue of Gezela, okay, we saw a couple of items. At that point, asks the Gemara, Malva al pehu. He, in other words, trying to give an explanation, a clarification. Umalva al peh eno gover lo min hayorshin v'lo min halekuchot. So that's where we stopped yesterday. Okay, right. So since it was done verbally and not by a written document, okay, it cannot be acquired from the heirs or from the purchasers. Okay. So what happens? Amrei. So we go over now to the new Amud where we start on the top of Kofhe. Okay? Right? B'she'amad badin. Okay? We saw previously that the Gemara had said to us there was a question of the father and the son. Okay, did one admit, did one not admit? Back and forth. If they both admitted, if they both didn't admit, back and forth. So here our Gemara is trying to tell us there was a situation where the father already had appeared at the court. Okay, and had, that was the situation. Okay, and afterwards the point is he expressed in the court he appeared in the court before dying, okay, and therefore that's why the question of now
This
that's
is
what
actually
this,
his second appearance.
so the situation now is the son, okay, situation, okay. Ahmad Badin, if we're talking about, okay, if the father was found reliable and then dies, all right, okay. So therefore, the question then is if the heir swears falsely, okay, and then admits, okay, right?
The father originally swore
Yeah.
he would do it,
Then
and he confessed in court.
then he admits,
So
right?
now
And then he
has
dies,
a whole
right? Then he
of
dies,
1.825.
okay. So right, so he has it. So there.
the son
So
picks
now
up
the
that
son does have a requirement to fulfill the situation for the father. Okay? Afilu chomesh nami mishalem, says the Gemara. Then even that chomesh, okay, the son would seem to have to pay because of the fact that it is now an actual debt as opposed to paying back the gzela. Amar Rav Huna, says Rav Huna bered Rav Yoshua. Okay. So we've seen the situation that now suggests the son has admitted, swore falsely, and he also then admits the situation. Amar Rav Huna, says Rav Huna bered Rav Yoshua. Lafi she'ein mishalmin chomesh al kfirat sha'abud karkaot. But we say, according to Rav Huna, okay, that we do not require the son in this case to pay the 1/5 when there's a denial of a debt that was secured by a lien on land. That was the point. Rava Amar, on the other hand, Rava is saying to him, Hacha b'mayaskina, what are we dealing with? Kagon shahaita diskaya, that there was a sack or a double saddlebag. Shel aviv, mufkedet biyad acherin. And that item where either the stolen money or the stolen objects was being held, okay, by others, okay, Karen Mishalem, okay, that the principal still would have to be paid. The high ite, right? Because we're assuming that it's in existence. Okay, okay, but we're going to see what happens. That chomesh lo mishalem, but the 1/5 he would not have to pay. The chi ishtabiyah, because when the son, okay, took his oath falsely and then afterwards admitted, what happens? Bekushta ishtabiyah. In truth, in other words, he made his vow in truth that he did not know because the sack of money or object was elsewhere and he wasn't aware of where that was. So he wasn't aware that the stolen object was still in existence. That's the point. Daha lo havayada, because he indeed did not really know of the existence of the stolen object because it was held elsewhere.
See, it was that it was there.
That may be, but when he made his denial,
He didn't know.
he didn't know. So it's really not a false, it's not a false vow. No, it's not a false vow.
No, I'm an heir. I don't know what all my father's dealings. My father stole something and gave it to Kenny. So now I'm in court. and I say I don't know anything about it, which is a or
Which is
I,
a valid
According to your
statement.
knowledge, you didn't lie.
Yeah, but that's
but
the
in
point.
essence,
But
you
that's
did.
the point.
A shvua shove is when
It's-
you misrepresent facts of which
Okay.
you are aware.
Where? Yeah.
He's got to be aware that the stolen object is still in existence to be able to be returned. If he doesn't know that the stolen object is in existence or the location of the stolen object, he cannot satisfy the requirement of hashava. And we're going to see that ultimately the Gemara is going to try to clarify for us, is there a difference between returning the object or not? Okay, so what happens? So the Gemara goes on, right? Okay, so I have a typo error here. It should be chutz. I don't know if everybody has the right. Okay.
Gemara says chutz.
Okay. All right. So the Gemara picks up chutz mi pachot shave pruta bekeren. Coming back to our Mishnah. Okay. Now the question comes up: what happens if the item, we said that there's not an issue here if the value of the item, the lost or stolen item, I'll call it the stolen item, is less than a shava pruta. Okay? And now we're going to see another discussion with another set of arguments. Amar Rav Papa, he says as follows: Lo shanu ela she'ein gzela kayemet. According to Rav Papa, this part of the Mishnah applied only when the stolen object was no longer in existence. Aval gzela kayemet, but where the stolen objects or money, whatever, is in, right? Okay, so, well, we don't know. Okay, but the item is not in existence. So where aval gzela kayemet tzrich leilech acharav. It would seem then under those circumstances that our Mishnah would require that they go after, bring the stolen object and return it to the person from whom it was stolen. Wherever, right, if it travels halfway around the world.
Yeah.
That would seem to, that's the question that Rav Papa seems to be presenting. Seems to be his view. Whether we're going to agree with Rav Papa, that's why we're continuing with the Gemara. Okay, so what happens? All right. So Chayshinan Shema Yitiaker, because Rav Papa's rationale is lest the value of the stolen object increase in value. Okay? And then the debt will exceed the value of a pruta, and therefore, as a result, it will by necessity need to be returned in order to gain kapara. Okay, aside from bringing the korban. Okay, now hold on. Okay, all right, let's go. Ikeda Amre. Now there's another lashon as to what Rav Papa was saying. Okay, Amar Rav Papa, says Rav Papa, Lo shna gzela kayemet, v'lo shna she'en gzela kayemet. It makes no difference, according to the second lashon of Rav Papa, whether the stolen object is in existence or the stolen object is not in existence. Eino tzarich lelech acharav. He does not need, okay, to travel the distance to go after. L'shema tiaker lo chayshinan. Because regarding of the possibility that the issue may increase in value, that's not what we're concerned about. We don't have to deal with that. Now, the Gemara picks up Amar Rava. So Rava is now going to basically give an example, and we're going to see whether Rava agrees with Rav Papa or he disagrees with Rav Papa. Okay, but we're going to look at this with a number of examples. Amar Rav Papa, so Rav Papa, Gazal shalosh agudot b'shlosh prutot. Okay, let's assume, says Rava, that a person stole 3 bundles of items, and each bundle was worth 1 pruta. Okay? V'huzlu, and the value of the stolen objects depreciated. V'amdu al shtayim. Okay? And what happens? Okay? And now they're really only equal in value to 2 of the bundles.
All 3 bundles are
Yeah.
only worth
Reduced to
2.
2. That's what I said. They're
Right.
reduced to the value of 2 bundles. Okay? The 3 are now worth only 2. That's what I said. Okay? Im hechzir lo shtayim, continues Rava, if he returned 2, okay, and therefore those 2 in value are now equal to the original 3 that were stolen.
No, they're worth 1 1/3 prutas.
Now,
The third one is
No,
worth
no.
2/3 of a pruta.
I'm not getting to that, Michael. No, the 2 are now equal and they depreciated. So, right, that's the
So the
point.
2 are,
2
so
are.
the remaining one that he didn't give
We'll
back
get to
is
that. We'll
only
get to it.
2/3
We'll
of
get
a
to it. We'll get to it. Don't jump ahead. Okay. Im hechzir lo shtayim, if he returns the 2, okay, Rava is saying, okay, even though because they depreciated, that was the situation, one might think that that would be sufficient because you're returning the equal amount, okay, of what was stolen, okay? Lahachzir, right? So what happens? Okay, right? Im hechzir lo shtayim, chayav lachzir lo acheret. He then, even though that third one is not shava pruta, he still must return that third bundle.
When he stole it, it was worth a pruta.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, right. So what happens? Vatana tuna, and further, the Tana teaches another example. Okay, Gazal chametz ve'avar alav hapesach. He stole chametz. Okay, before passes over Pesach. Okay, which means at that point it's not of any value. Right? Omerlo, and then the robber comes back after Pesach and says, Omerlo harei shel chalafanecha. Here's the chametz I stole. Okay, implying, okay, it's as if he's returning the item, okay, at its value, okay, before the holiday. Tama da'ite be'ene. The reason being that its existence as it was in its original form. Ha lite be'ene. But here, where it's not in its original form, okay, it's not of its original value. Of course, afal gav dahashta lav mamona, even though it's right, not okay, even though now, okay, it's not of that monetary value. Kevein de meikara mamonahu, since it was originally set at a certain value, okay, bayilishlume, like he must pay. Okay, all right. So what happens? Hachanami, Rav is making the comparison from that example. Here too, afalgav dahashta lo shave pruta, even though that third bundle, okay, at this point is less than a pruta, it's not worth a pruta now. Kevanda meikara have shava pruta, since it was originally shava pruta, right? By shlume, he's required to pay. No issue of goy. No issue of goy. Don't bring that in. Okay? Right? It was originally worth something, regardless. But Pesach was worth nothing. Because it was chametz, it was worthwhile, whatever. Sell, use, whatever it is. Okay? Okay, buy shlume. Okay. All right. So what happens? So in other words, exactly, we determine the value by what it was worth at the Shas Gazela. And this is the Chiddush of Rava. Okay? That's the point, that he's insisting that that be the case. Okay. And even so, that would disagree with what part of our Mishnah. So, by Rava. So Rava now raises a dilemma. The following. Gazal shte agudot bepruta. Okay? The one stole 2 bundles that together were worth, right? Bepruta. V'hechzilo achat mehen. And the thief returns one of them. Mahu. What's the situation? Mi amrinan, do we say, Tashta leka gazela, that here, okay, since we don't have the second bundle, it's not in existence. Okay, it's not a variant, right? Okay,
It was worth less than a pruta.
because it's not worth that amount.
And there was no technical robbery because a
Well,
robbery means 1 pruta.
Okay, that there's no, well, it also means that the item is in a sense not existence to define it as thievery. Okay. Odilma ha lo hadar gazela dahave gabe. Or here, do we say that he doesn't return, okay, because it's not with him. All right. Hadar pashta. So Rava now comes back and he gives an explanation. Gazela ein kan, hashava ein kan. Okay, there is no robbery here because we don't have the stolen item because it was not the financial required amount, number one. But also, says Rava, there is no valid return here. Okay. Okay. All right.
Well,
That's
if it wasn't stolen, how could it be returned?
the question. All right. Enkan. All right. So what's that? Igzela enkan hashava yeshkan. Okay. If there's a robbery, okay. Igzela enkan. If there is no thievery robbery here, can there be return here?
No.
Hachikama. This is what the Gemara is telling us Rava actually means. Afal pi shegzela enka. Even though we might be saying that there is no thievery here because it's less than the shava pruta, mitzvat hashava enka. The mitzvah of fulfilling the return is not being carried out here. All right. So now we get to another example, another effort by Rava. Right? Va'amar Rava. And Rava says now, Hare Amru, okay, here they've said, Nazir Shagilach v'shi'ar shtei sa'arot. We have an example where a Nazir, okay, shaves, but there remains on his head 2 hairs. Okay? And so this is not completely fulfilling the requirement, okay, of Giluach. Right? Lo asav lo klum. It's as if he's done nothing. Okay? Right. By Rava. So Rava now again raises a dilemma. Right? Gilach achat v'nashra achat. He shaved one of those hairs and the other hair fell out. Mahu, what's the situation? Amar le Rav Acha midifte le Ravina. And so Rav Acha, commenting on Rava's question, okay, Rav Acha says to Ravina, Nazir shagilach echat echat kamabayile le Rava. Are we saying that Rava's question deals with an issue of shaving 1 hair at a time? Is that what he's raising the question? No, actually, it's not Rava's question, as we're going to see momentarily. Okay, Amarle. So he responds, Ravina, Lo tzricha. No, we needed this kind of a question for a certain clarification. Kigon shenashar echat mehen v'gilach echat. No, reverse it. It's a situation where maybe one of the hairs fell out and the other one he shaved. Mi amrinan hashta. Do we say that now, mihat ha leka shiur, that he therefore, are we saying he doesn't have the minimum requirement of no hair and therefore has fulfilled his requirement of giluach? O dilma, or perhaps ha lav giluachu. Perhaps here he has not fulfilled his requirement as a nazir.
Is such a thing as sentimental value over a pruta to him? No?
No. Okay. The meikara, because originally hashi eshte sarot, because originally there remained 2 hairs. Vahashta ki galach lo have shte sarot. And now that he's shaved, in other words, even though it was the second one because the other fell out, do we say then, okay, that's it? All right. So what happens? Okay. So that's the Hadar Pashta. So now it was further answered and explained. Okay? Se'ar ein kan, giluach ein kan. Okay? Very similar to his response earlier. Okay? There's no hair here, right? Okay? And there's no shaving here. In other words, okay? What does that mean? Se'ar ein kan. If there's no hair now present, Giluach yeshkan, do we say then that there is the fulfillment of the requirement of shaving? Ahachi ka'amar, this is what he means to tell us. Afal pisha se'ar enkan, despite the fact that there is no hair present, mitzvah giluach enkan, fulfilling the requirement of the mitzvah of shaving is not accomplished under those circumstances. Okay, now we get to another example by Rav. Okay, another third example. Okay, let's go on. Va'amar Rava, says Rava. Hare Amru. Okay, we're dealing with a situation here of ritual impurity. Let's assume we could argue for the moment that this item, this chavit, this container, okay, however it is, okay, is located in a home, okay, with 2 floors, and the second floor has a corpse in it, okay, all right? Well, either way, it could go either way. We're going to get to it. Okay, either way, okay? I listened to 2 pshatim, okay, and it could be either way. The implication is, could the ritual impurity, whether it's on the top floor going seeking down because there's, okay, or on the bottom floor seeking up, okay, could that ritual purity affect the contents of this chavit, of this barrel?
The house.
And specifically, the items in the foodstuffs that are in the chavit. That's the issue. Okay? So what happens? All right. So Rava's example is the following, to try to make again a parallel to our whole issue. Chavit shenikva. We have this barrel, okay, which is among the utensils in the house, let's say, okay, whether it's top floor, second floor, and there's a hole in the barrel. And what did they do? V'satmuha shmarim. And whatever item is in the barrel, whether it's wine or something else, the sediment that's from that item has closed up that hole. Hitziluha. And it saved it then, the contents, from becoming ritually impure. Okay? By Rava. Question. Agaf chatzia. Okay, let's assume that they sealed half of that hole, okay, in some way. Mahu, what's the status? Okay? Amar le Rav Yimar le Rav Ashi. Okay? Lav mishnatenu hi. Isn't this similar to our discussion okay, of our Mishnah in some way. Zo, the Tnan, as it was taught here, chavit shenikva v'satmu hashmarim itziluha. Okay, if they took this barrel or this urn, okay, and they sealed it part of the way, okay, by its sediment, it saved it from becoming ritually impure. Okay, what pikaka bismora. But let's assume that he only sealed it with vines, okay, which means that it's not the hole was not totally sealed, okay. Ad sheyimrach, until he plasters over the entire hole, okay, then it's a problem. All right. Have you bashtayim? Okay. Let's say that he used 2 vines to stick in the hole to try to cover it. Ad shimrach, until they again plasters or smears min hatstadim, the sides of the vines, ubein zmora lechaverta, and between the vines. Okay, only then will the hole be completely sealed. Okay, tama demarach. The reason being is because he plastered, totally sealed it. Halo marach, but if he didn't totally seal it, okay, what happens? Lo, that's not the case. Amai, why? V'tahave kiga agaf chatzia, because it was only sealed half of the way, part of the way. Amre. So let us say as follows: Hachi hashta. Here now, what do we have? Atam ilo marach lo kai. There, in that case, if it wasn't completely sealed, okay, we're saying it's not viable. Okay, agaf chatzia. If he only sealed half of it, b'midei dekai kai. The way it is what it is. In other words, the truma is going to impact on the contents of the chavit. Va'amar Rava. And now we get to another situation where Rava comes forward. Says Rava, Hare Amru. Here, what about the following? Gazal chametz v'avar alav hapesach. So we come back now to one of our original issues that we presented. Omerlo. And he said to him, Hare shel chalafanecha. Here's the chametz before you after the halal. By Rava. So Rava now raises the following issue. As we go to the top of the Amud, we'll go as far as we can go given the situation. Nishba alav, and he swears falsely about it. Mahu, what's the situation? Mi amrinin kevan de'i min gav ba'ishlumele mamona. Do we say here, okay, that in this case, okay, that since we say that he was trying to, I want to use the word protect himself, the robber, okay, or delay or something. In other words,
the court case happened after Pesach. So the issue is when he stole the chumetz, it had a cash value. Now it's worthless. So do we say when he swears, I didn't steal anything? Had he stolen it that minute, he'd have been right. It was worthless. On the other hand, since he has the option to either return it or return the value earlier, then it still has a monetary component, and his oath is false.
Okay.
Because if I steal it from him, then he's got to pay back what it cost before Pesach. So there is a financial component.
okay. So that's the me amrina. Do we say kivan de min gav? Okay, that since he was trying to use the plea, okay, to be able to return by shlumele lemamona, that he has to pay money, kakafale. Then it's a situation that it's a denial. and he's denying the restitution of money to the individual. O Dilma, or perhaps Hashta Mihat Hat Manach, or perhaps do we say here, nevertheless, that it is
It's still in existence.
it's there, and that's it. And what's the status? Va'afra ba'almahu, that it's nothing more than dirt, so to speak. V'lo kafar le mamona, and we say therefore that he did not deny any restitution to the person from whom it was stolen, and therefore doesn't have to pay. Milta de'iba'ele l'rabba. So are we saying then that something that was bothersome for Rabbah, pshitale l'rabba, that was fairly easy for Rabbah? Da'amar Rabbah. Why? Because Rabbah comes forward with the following, saying to somebody, Shori ganavta, you stole my ox. Vahu omer, and the person accused answers, Lo ganavti, I didn't steal it. And the person, the plaintiff saying, Mati v'atzlech, what's it doing in your backyard, so to speak? Okay, and he answers, Shomer chinam ani alav. I'm just a shomer chinam. I'm just watching it, so to speak. Okay, Hayav. Okay, he would still be liable as a shomer chinam in that situation. All right, shaharei patar atzmo migniva v'aveda, because by claiming he's a shomer chinam, yes, he has to pay something, but it reduces his liability in a section from thievery or being a lost
But he
object.
still is obligated for Shia.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said. All right. Or let's say the thief answers differently. Shomer sacharani. Okay, I was a paid watchman. Okay, what's the good of that kind of answer? Chayav. Yes, he's still obligated to pay. Right? Shaharei pat, but by giving that kind of an answer, he's again going to reduce his level of liability. Shaharei patar atzmo mishvura umeta. He's exempted himself from the situation of an occasion where the animal could have been worked and died during the course of its work. Okay? Or let's say the individual, the robber, gave the following answer. Sho'el ani alav. I borrowed it. Okay? Again, chayav. Once more, he would be obligated, liable, all right, to pay something. Okay? What happens? Shaharei patar atzmo mimeta michamat melacha. From that situation. Okay? Alma, therefore, afalgav daha kaim, even though it's in existence, kevan de imingav. Okay, do we say therefore, since he was, in a sense, if you want to say, admitting some guilt in the hopes of delaying the whole level of liability, mamona kakafar, that therefore he is denying the restitution, hashtanami mamona kakafar. Nevertheless, here too, okay, some amount of money he is denying. Hachanami, here too, afalgav da afra ba'almahu, even though the current value of that chametz is worthless because it's like dirt almost, kevan the imingav by shlumele, that therefore, since he was denying or putting it off, he still would have to pay. Mamona ma'alya.
If that's stolen from him.
Okay.
Therefore, he had no option of giving it back.
That's one
Then he
shot.
would have to give the cash
If
value
it's stolen from him.
before
Okay.
So he does have a financial
Right. The
obligation.
pshat I had didn't translate it that way. Okay. All right. So what happens? So in other words, the essential characteristic is the primary factor based on the claim. Hashtanami mamona kakafale. He's still therefore, okay, going to be held responsible. Okay. So what happens? All right, now, Yativ Rabba v'ka'amarla hashmata. Rabba was sitting and reviewing this particular lesson. Eitive Rav Amram la Rabba, and Rav Amram challenges Rabba with the following: V'kichesh ba. Okay, that means he basically denies it, disagrees, lies. Parat l'modeh be'ikar. Okay, do we say there with that reflects the fact that he's denying some essential aspect of the claim? Okay, Ketzad, how is that possible? Shor sheganavta, shori sheganavta, v'hu omer. What about the situation where he said, "You stole my ox," and the other answers, "Lo ganavti, I didn't steal." Okay, mati bo etzlech. What is it doing by you? Ata machartili, you sold it to me. Ata natatu li b'matana, you gave it to me as a gift. Avicha machruli, your father sold it to me. Avicha natnuli b'matana, your father gave it to me as a gift. Echad parat, achar parati ratz, it ran after my own cow. Me'alav ba'etzli, it came by itself. To'eh b'derech mitzati, it was wandering in the field and I found it. Shomer chinam ani alechem. I'm a shomer chinam. Okay, shomer sechar ani. I'm a paid watchman. Okay, alav. Shoel ani alav. I borrowed it. V'nishba v'hoda, and he took an oath, false oath, and then he admitted what happened. Yechol chayav. Okay, we would think he would have to be liable. Talmud lomar v'kichash ba. Okay, that he directly denied it. Okay, prat lemodeh beikar, says the Gemara. Okay, with the exception of his having acknowledged it originally.
Saying I acknowledge it's yours.
By
Then
saying
he's
that
not
he
making it
is
for it.
admitting some level of liability.
No, he's acknowledging up front that it's the claimant's cow.
Yes.
So he
And
is
there-
not saying I stole it, and therefore he hasn't sworn. And in order to be over
it
the
is.
neighbor, he has
Yes,
to say that's
he
not
has to
your cow.
He has to indicate by saying all of these things, it means the cow is in his presence.
But it's the
That's
other guy's
right.
cow. And
Okay.
acknowledge.
That's it. All right. That's the point. So there is some level there of responsibility. Amarle, he responded, Tadura. That's not a complimentary statement. Okay. Calling somebody, let's put it lightly, because Rashi translates it as a fool. Okay, but there are stronger words. Okay, kitanya hahi. Okay, when he taught that, the ka'amale helech. But he said here, it's in front of you. Ki ka'amina, what was he saying? The kaima ba'anas. Okay, that its existence was a situation of, by accident, like things like that. All right? Okay, Shakil torchavazil, as if saying, hey, take your cow or ox and go. Okay, atana tatoli, or if he said you gave it to me, avich not newly, or your father gave it to me, mai mode beikar ika. Do we say here that this is originally a acknowledgement here? The amar, like, because he said to him, almanat da'avid nalach naicha denavshe. But had he said, I took it on a condition, okay, that I'm going to do something beneficial for you, okay? Velo avdelach, and he didn't do that item that was beneficial, okay? Shakil torch v'zil. He therefore can simply say to him, take your cow, take your ox and go. To'eh biyaderech matzati, or when he claimed, okay, that the animal was wandering, okay, and he found it. Lema, shall we say as follows? Ibeya lach lahadureli. Okay, the other could have argued, isn't it necessary for you to return it? Okay, Amar avuha deshmuel. Okay, and here we say Shmuel's father says, "Ba'omer shvu'a aveda matzati v'lo hayiti yodea shehi shelcha she'achzir lach." Okay, that I found this lost animal, this lost object, and I did not know to whom it belonged.
Mm.
And it's important, by the way, that we recognize Rashi here, who's suggesting that this was a single witness situation. Okay, testify. Tanya. Okay, I'm going to just continue for a few more minutes. Tanya, Amar ben Azai. Okay, there are three kinds of vows. Shlosha shavuot. Hikir ba v'lo b'motzeh, a situation where he recognized the lost object but didn't know who found it. B'motzeh v'lo ba. Okay, recognized who found it but doesn't recognize the object. V'lo ba v'lo b'motzeh, and neither recognizes the object nor the one who found it. Okay? In those cases, velo ba velaz. All right? So what happens? Okay, so what about velo ba velo motzah? Kushta ishtaba. In those cases, the person is making an oath, the truth. Okay? Ema ba motzah. I might say, what about the situation, okay, of knowing, recognizing the lost object and the one who finds it? Lamai hilchata, what's the law there? Rav Ami Amar, says Rav Ami, Rabbi Chanina, Leptor. According to Rabbi Chanina, the person is not liable.
Said, I don't know anything. To get
Oh,
out.
Shmuel Amar says Shmuel Lechiyuv. Shmuel disagrees and says no, he's liable. Uplugta dahani Tanai. And it's an argument similar to that of other Tanai. The Tanya, who teaches, Amashbiya Achad, in a situation where one witness is testifying, Patur, he's exempt. Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon Mechayev. But he claims, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon, that he's liable. B'mai kamiflage, what are they arguing about? Mar savar davar hagorem lemamon kimamon dami. One is of the opinion that potential money, okay, is like a benefit like real money, okay, all right, and therefore, if you admit it, situation, okay, you have to read umar savar la b'mamon dami, okay, that it's not that. Amar Rav Sheish, okay. So at this point, we're coming close. I'll just move a little bit, couple more lines. Rav Sheshet says, Hakofer b'pikadon, one who denies a deposit. Na'asa alav gazlan v'chayav, okay, is considered like a thief and is liable. Ba'on sin, even if there's damages that occur by accident. V'tana tuna, okay, and we say that Mishnah teaches, right, that teaches, B'kichashba, but clearly the text tells us he has to deny it. Lamadnu onish, and in that case we see a punishment. Azhara minayin, is there any kind of warning here? Talmud lomar, lo tichachashu. From another pasuk it says, you shall not deny or lie. Ma ilav la'onish mamon, are we not talking here about a financial penalty? Lo, all right, la'onish shavua. No, we're talking in regards to a punishment for the oath. Okay, and I think, let me just continue a couple more lines real quick. Okay, la'onish shavua, hamidikatani sefer, since it says at the end, the ishtaba, that he took a false oath, miklal dereisha de lo ishtaba. It would seem that the earlier part is where there was no false oath taken, the katani sefer, but it's taught at the end of our Mishnah, v'nishba al sheker, that if he took an oath, right, with a lie, lamadnu onish, there we know that there's punishment, because the denial of the shvua is the situation. As harami nayan, okay, what's the warning? Talmud lomar lo tishakru. Okay, there we have an example of another pasuk, and there's the word amito in each of the psukim. And that's the Gezerah Shava. Lo tshakru umidisefa de ishtaba. And from the end of the Mishnah, instead of false oath, Reisha de lo ishtaba. We would say at the beginning it was not about a false oath. Amrei, so let us say, idi ve'idi de ishtabea. In both cases, there was an example of a false oath. Kan shahoda, in one case where he admitted, kan shabau edim, and in the other where witnesses came to testify. Atu edim chayav ba'onsin. And with the arrival of the witness's testimony, he is therefore subject to payment of damages, even by accident, odu aduye, and therefore we acknowledge that chayav b'keren v'chomish v'asham. He therefore would then be subject to liability both for the principal, the 1/5, and the offering. And we'll stop right there.
Thank you.
Excuse me, so Rashi, it says aim way situation. So Rashi's words are aim way. Do we interpret that as full in this whole?
It was a foolish, you want to be nice, you can say it was a foolish comment, a foolish question.
It's like to seal is like full.
Right, right.
But
Okay,
he says
but
aim way, that's like he doesn't care.
so, there are others,
No,
there are others who want to take that term and make it more derogatory. Okay, so Rashi's comment of Imre, okay, as if to simply say more, that's why I said, you could take it as it's more simply a foolish question or a foolish statement. Okay, in other words, you did what you're.
That phrase, is
What?
that how they use that phrase?
It's not, from what I've seen, which is limited, it's not a common phrase.
Right, that's
used.
why I never came across it.
Yeah. So I think Rashi is actually being rather
Nice.
nice in that situation.
Just came in,
Yeah.
and yesterday was the first day. Probably Sunday.
Oh.
Actually.